To me, recovery is how fast we can be healed from our last workout and get to the next workout and feel as fresh as possible, or get to that game. I wish I would have taken it a little bit more serious earlier in my career as I did later in my career. I didn't realize the importance of it, but now I see how important it is just to be mobile and just to be fresh, to feel fresh for a training session or a game is a game changer.
This episode of the Recovery Couch is brought to you by Greg Swartz at Remax Victory and Affiliates. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, Greg brings heart, hustle, and honesty to every deal. Call Greg at 937-477-8975 today and tell him the Recovery Couch sent you. Hey, welcome back to the Recovery Couch, where we deliver unapologetic, real, faith-based stories and messages covered by the blood of Jesus. This is a space where we speak from the heart. We speak without filters because Psalm 139:4 reminds us that God knows our words before we ever speak them. And Romans 5:8 tells us that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That's why the Recovery Couch exists, to meet people exactly where they are. Because here, we believe when you offer someone a space to be real, you're also offering them a space to heal. Today, I'm honored to welcome somebody who knows firsthand what it means to build strength on and off the field. John Connor is a former University of Kentucky Wildcat and NFL running back who played for the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. Many fans also recognize John as one of the standout personalities from HBO's Hard Knocks, where his work ethic, his nickname the Terminator, and his hard-hitting approach to football became a major storyline. Today, John's the founder and head strength coach of Unbreakable Lifestyle, a performance-based training business right here in Southwest Ohio. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Man, it's my pleasure. So let's talk recovery. When speaking about recovery and strength and conditioning, John, what is it and why is it important?
To me, recovery is how fast we can be healed from our last workout and get to the next workout and feel as fresh as possible, or get to that game. If we've been training all week, or how we structure our program to feel the best that we possibly can in our next game or in our next session. So to me, I think it's the most important part. I don't think, when I was an athlete, I wish I would have taken it a little bit more serious earlier in my career as I did later in my career. I didn't realize the importance of it. But now I see how important it is just to be mobile and just to be fresh, to feel fresh for a training session or a game is a game changer.
Yeah, and I want to get back to that in a minute, because as you get older, your recovery time slows down. And it sounds like what you're saying is you recovered faster when you were younger, and now that you're getting a little bit older, you're realizing that recovery then, if you would have taken the actual approach to it more serious, you could have maybe squeezed some more life out of your career.
I mean, maybe what I realized, obviously when we're younger, like we can go out there and run. We don't have to warm up. Just go out there and just run and, just turn on the jets just like that. But as we get older, unfortunately, our bodies don't work like that. So we got to take those proper measures to make sure that we're ready to go, do those prehab exercises and the mobility stuff to help us feel the best that we can feel. I know now, I'm pushing the big 4-0. So, and I'm still trying to stay young myself. But I notice I need at least 10, 15 minutes before my workout to do my proper stretching and my proper mobility work to feel good to get to my workout.
So, John, how can someone tell the difference between healthy soreness and a warning sign of overtraining?
Well, healthy soreness is, that's normal. When we're overtraining, we notice that we might have a tendency to have a little bit more soft tissue issues, hamstring problems, or it feels more like an injury than soreness. That's why after our workouts, it's important to make sure that we're rolling out, we're getting a massage and doing all that stuff to prepare for the next workout, for our next competition. So it's important to do all those little things to get to the next opportunity.
And what are some of the most common recovery mistakes that you see people making?
Well, I think sometimes we think that all we got to do is just stretch and we can just go home. There's so many things that we need to be doing, like rolling out, getting that massage gun, really there's a lot that's deep in those tissue that we're not really hitting by just stretching. So there's so much more that we need to be doing to hit the things that we're missing.
And by rolling out, you mean foam rolling,
Yeah, foam
really
rolling.
trying to work deep.
Yep. We're
Yep.
working that lactic acid that when we work out and we do like high intensity training, we build up what's called lactic acid in our muscles, and we want to make sure that we roll that out and release all that.
How does your diet, things like sleep, how does that affect the amount of lactic acid you build up, or how does that affect your recovery time post workout?
Well, diet is so important, and that's one thing that I wish athletes would, a lot of these younger athletes would understand. Like what we put into our body is really going to reflect how we feel in our workout and how we feel overall. If we eat like crap, we're going to feel like crap. That's what I like to say. If you put the right things into your body, you're going to feel better. It's going to help with your recovery process. We're putting enough protein in our diet after our workout. We're going to see that we're going to build a little bit more muscle. Sleep as well. If our body's not rested, our body's focused on, getting past that instead of repairing our muscles that we break down when we lift weights. So in our sleep, that's when we're repairing those muscles, and that's when we're getting stronger, and that's when all those gains are happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that. I didn't for the longest time, John. That I wanted muscle pump almost every time I went into a gym, and so I very rarely, especially my major muscle groups, would allow myself to have rest. So that's where all the repairing. That's what you're saying. All the repairing's happening when you get that rest and the recovery.
Right. Yeah. That's a huge part of it when we're getting our good sleep, when we're sleeping and resting, and that's when a lot of that repairing is happening. Right then and there.
So for beginners out there who are exercising and they don't have a whole lot of knowledge on recovery or diet, what is a simple, effective post-workout recovery meal? And what does that look like for most people?
Well, I like to tell my people, you want to get some protein in you. Okay, you need that fuel. Our food is our fuel after workouts. We need that because we're breaking down our body. We're going hard in the weight room or we're going hard on the field. We need that fuel. So you need good protein to start. Get you some good carbs as well. You need all that good stuff to put in your body as fuel. That's what we need to. We're breaking down our body now. We need to build it back up.
And then how would you individualize a recovery plan for different people? For example, I know you work with athletes at a high level. How would you individualize a recovery plan for an athlete at a high level? And how would you individualize a recovery plan for a beginner?
You know what? It's not too much different as far as like the recovery process. I'm telling people pretty much the same thing. Getting your massage, getting your stretching and your mobility in. Cold plunge, if you have access to cold plunge, that's good. Saunas, all that good stuff. All that stuff is going to help anybody in their recovery process. Obviously, athletes need to take that a little bit more serious because the amount of stress that they're putting on their bodies is probably a little bit more than like your average everyday adult that's coming in. But really, I'm telling people pretty much the same thing. It's all part of the deal. So
that leads me to my next question, man. So what are your take on the tools like ice baths, saunas, foam rolling? How important are those for people to invest in? What's your take on that?
Oh, well, that ice bath is something I've done ever since, back when I was playing. Everybody has their own, like, how they feel about their own mindset on it. But I think ice baths are great. Sauna's good, kind of flushing all that toxins out. My biggest thing is the massage and the foam roller. I think that's probably the best thing that we can do in doing mobility work. I think that's some of the best stuff that we can do because a lot of times we think that we're aging or we're getting old. We can't get down to a squat like we used to, or we can't move like we used to. A lot of it's just mobility. We don't move our bodies. We don't put ourselves in different ranges of motion to help us move and be mobile. And that helps a lot.
That's a great point
with our technique.
Yeah, that's a great point. Where would you start with somebody who's immobile? Say somebody my age, I'm 43, about to be 44, lacking mobility. Where do they start before they go down into a 200-pound squat? Where should they start with their stretch routine, with their soft tissue massage, and with like what part of the body should they try to increase range of motion at first?
And that's good. So that's what I like to do with a lot of my clients when they come in. I like to check for different limitations. I want to address the limitations first before we do any kind of weights, before we add any weights or anything like that. The limitations and the flexibility issues, even if it's something that I can't particularly do, I want to send them somewhere to work on that while they're training with me as well, so we can have a better squat numbers, or we can do a better bench. I mean, I get people that come in all the time, their hips are so tight they can't get below parallel in a squat, or they have tight limitations in their shoulder. We're gonna work on that stuff early in the workout, before we actually get to the workout. So we're not throwing any weight on there until we work those hips out. We do hip mobility, and we're doing shoulder mobility. We're doing all that stuff before the workout, and I'm also sending them to people that specialize in that stuff as well.
So for any of the beginners out there, what do you notice in, like, when you see, let's say, some lack of range of motion in the hips? What's your worry as a strength coach? Okay, say it's on the right side, but the left side has good range of motion. What's your worry? Are you worried that they're going to overtrain one specific muscle by overcompensating?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You see a lot of compensation when people are one side's a little bit sharper than another side. So I want to make sure both sides are equal and even. So we're not compensating. A lot of times you'll see people going down in a squat. They might be leaning to one side rather than going straight down. So I can spot these things out early in the workout. And I usually have people come in for like just like an evaluation where I can just see them move. I want to see them jump. I want to see them squat, lunge, do all these things before we actually get to throwing a weight on the.
Now, if they choose to try to push through that limitation, are they risking injury?
Yeah, I mean, I think, then again, you could be fine at the same time, but we don't want to risk it. A lot of times you can compensate so much that you can cause injury, where you're leaning to one side too much and you're putting too much pressure on one side and you're not really working that other side. So there's a lot of different things that go into it, but I like to really address those issues before, or we work on them every day until we get it right.
Yeah, very good, man. What are any low cost at home recovery methods that you can recommend for people who can't afford or who cannot access professional services?
Invest in a foam roller, or get you a PVC pipe. That does the job too. Get you a band, rubber band, one of those rubber bands. They have different resistance levels that you can get to working your stretching, and also you can get on YouTube. You can go through a routine where you're doing mobility. There's all kind of stuff that you can find for mobility work at the comforts of your home. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I would definitely stay on top of that mobility. The hip mobility stuff is huge. Working your core, working your shoulder mobility, all that good stuff.
So when you say hip mobility, for any beginners out there, what exactly do you mean? What are some exercises they can do, or some functional movements that they could do to increase their hip mobility?
I mean, you got the frog stretch where you're, on your knees, your toes are out, rocking back and forth. You got like hip hurdles. If you don't have hurdles, we don't have hurdles in our home, some of us, but act like you have a hurdle. You're stepping over the hurdle, okay? Stepping under the hurdle, doing those type of things like that. Lifting your legs up. If you have a chair, you can step over that chair, step back over it, in the different planes of motion. Or if you're like hands and knees, if you're doing hip circles, those type of things like that.
So let's take a step away from the physical approach. John, what do you find important in the mental approach? Not just with recovering from physical training, but how do you approach a physical training session mentally, or how do you coach people to approach their physical training session mentally?
Well, I try to bring that energy, just a positive vibe. I want people to feel confident when they're working with me. I don't want them to. They're already coming to me for something that they need a service from me, and I want to be that person to give them that confidence. I'm a big believer in, if you believe it, then you can do it. But if you have the mindset that you can't do it, then that's what it's going to be. Then you can't do it. So I just want to bring that positive energy to people, and just.
Yeah, amen to that.
I'm all about the confidence, and we like to have fun. I do preach to my people how important the recovery process is, and make sure you're doing your stretching. And like, we're going to do it at the end of the session too, but I tell them, at home, make sure you're stretching, relaxing. I have athletes now that they're doing a lot of other things outside of what they're doing with me. So I like to have an idea of kind of what they're doing so that I can taper my workout down, or we can amp it up if we need to. But like right now, I got a couple guys that are doing position work elsewhere as well. They're doing their combine training with me, but they're also doing position work too. So that's a lot on the body. So I'm really stressing that recovery and making sure you. I have a guy now that has the recovery boots at home, so I'm making sure he's doing that. But just kind of making sure that they're staying on top of that stuff and not overtraining themselves.
Good deal, man. And then let's finish here, John. What's the most powerful recovery lesson that you have learned from your own training or your own coaching?
So there was a saying when I was in the league, you can't make the club in the tub. So what that means is, if you're constantly in that tub and you're in the training room, it's hard to be out there and compete at a high level. So, I learned at an early age, learning from these veterans when I first came in to the NFL, was you got to do those little things after practice. You're not going straight home. You're going, doing your stretching, doing your mobility, sitting in that cold tank, sitting in a hot tub, and just doing all the things that you can do to help you perform at a high level every day.
So it sounds to me like the recovery is just as important, equally important as the training session itself.
Yes, I think that's the most important part. That's a huge part.
John, man, I'm so thankful for you joining us on the show, man. You've been such a blessing, offering so much insight and knowledge. Give our listeners like one piece of advice that you would give somebody who's just starting off in a training session.
You're going to make mistakes, relax, have fun with it, and do your best, and just learn all you can. Like that, I'm still learning myself. I don't think I have it all figured out. I'm still learning. I learn from, a lot of different guys. Like, my guy, Cliff Marshall, I talk to him quite often, and, he's constantly teaching me new things. I'm still learning from him. So I'm always learning. I would say keep learning all you can. And yeah, just never stop learning. That would be my advice.
Yeah, man, my favorite piece of that last sign off there, John, was have fun with it. Man, training can be fun. It really can. Listen to the music, dance a little bit. You can make training fun. I like that you said that. Well, John, I want to thank you again, man, for coming on the show. And I hope all the listeners got something out of this. And I just want you to remember that you always have a seat right here on the Recovery Couch. This episode of the Recovery Couch is brought to you by JB Davis at South Dayton Toyota. For integrity, service, and unbeatable deals, call JB and his team at 513-267-5225 and tell them the Recovery Couch sent you.